Well, as everybody knows by now, New York and Virginia were Amazon's big winners in the HQ2 announcement. But is Seattle turning out to be a loser? Already, since the announcement, home sales there are falling. So is Amazon sending a warning shot that they could bolt from Seattle if the city keeps raising taxes on them? What do you think?
Well, they should. I mean, look, it's not rocket science, right? You want to be, as a business, in an environment that's favorable to business.
Right.
Look, this is the reason why it's so important that the president was able to lower the tax rate, the corporate tax rate. I mean, remember all those shotgun corporate marriages where you'd have an American company suddenly getting together with a company in Ireland and it had nothing to do with really actually wanting to buy that company. It was all about getting the better tax rate. I mean, this happens whether it's on a national level, international level, or whether it's on a local level. And so it should be a warning, absolutely, to Seattle.
So I write a book every year with Arthur Laffer for ALEC called Rich States, Poor States. And we have an index of where the best places to invest are and for companies to move to. And, you're not going to be surprised. At the top of the list, it's Florida, it's Texas, it's Tennessee, it's Utah. And the bottom of the list, I hate to tell you guys this, Connecticut, New Jersey, New York.
We live it. We know it. We live it.
Does this stuff matter? Yeah. 1,000 people every day are moving out of the liberal, high-tax blue states, and they're moving to those low-tax states.
Susan?
Gary? I thought it was Gary. Okay, but I'll go. You know what?
Sorry, I was waiting for you.
No, I was thinking about the taxes here in New York because I heard Steve's list. I think New York is pretty uncompetitive when it comes to the corporate tax rate. Add on that, top of that, some of the restrictions and the laws. So if you're not getting $48,000 per worker in subsidies from the New York government, I have no idea why you would move a company headquarters here.
Yeah.
Well, I guess my perspective after thinking this over is a little bit different. I think that Seattle is doing themselves harm, of course, by raising taxes. On the flip side, I think Seattle should be allowed to do what it wants to do. I look at the history of cities and towns that have tied themselves to a company, and inevitably it ends in doom. I was looking at Endicott, New York. It has now a smaller population than it did in the 50s.
Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, of course, tied itself to Bethlehem Steel. Only now has a population that is equal to what it was in the 60s. Yeah. So, look, I think Seattle's making a mistake, and as we kicked it off here, Trish said, Amazon should feel free to go. That's, in my opinion, that's the capitalistic
But Gary,
society.
I want to show as a counterexample, there are cities who've lost their populations, lost their businesses, like Pittsburgh, for example, but have made tremendous comebacks because they find out what incentives are. It's all about incentives. If you believe in incentives, if you make it easier for businesses to do work there, you'll get more businesses. As you said, it's not rocket science.
Right, but rather than offering certain specific handouts for, say, Amazon, I mean, why not just say, okay, we're gonna lower the corporate tax rate, period. Yes, for everyone in New York. I would like to see that because it's a more equitable environment as opposed to the government picking the winners and losers.
But is that going to happen?
Well, look, I think some of these states try to play this game, but it's very clear. I mean, it's exactly what Trish said. The states that are winning the race for businesses and for investment capital are the states that have a good regulatory climate, low tax. This stuff is not complicated, and New York and New Jersey and Connecticut would be so wise. I was so disappointed what happened in the Connecticut governor's race because Connecticut isn't a change or die situation. New Jersey isn't a change.
By the way,
my home state of Illinois. I mean, there's not a Republican left in that state.
But in Connecticut, by the way, it was a Republican governor, Lowell Weicker, who was the one that instituted state income taxes. So it's a bipartisan thing. There's enough blame to go around.
One of the things I love about where I grew up in Live Free or Die, New Hampshire.
Another no income tax state.
And the right, they can all agree on one thing. I'm not kidding. Anybody you talk to, a Democrat, will tell you still what government has, government will spend. And so there's a sense of fiscal conservatism, and they have no interest in ever allowing an income tax.
And New Hampshire spends 1/2 per capita on state and local government as New York does.
And yet,
and the services are better in New York.
And yet we came just a hair's breadth from having a governor of Florida who would want to raise corporate taxes and probably eventually want to institute a state income tax.
That's what's scary about the world in which we live right now.
I guess going back earlier, my only point was that, yes, I think that cities, states, countries should level the playing field and make it attractive. Right. When you start coddling to one specific company. Look, I worry, to be honest with you, about Crystal City and
it's not Crystal City anymore.
The other in New York City. They have spent billions of dollars. You know what? Who knows if Amazon's even going to be around 20 years from now? That's how, slippery these things in tech change.
Yep. And that's actually the mobility of our economy is one of our winning points, but that's for another discussion.